My name is Taylor Self, and I program Sentinel training. I don't delegate, I don't farm it out. I write the workouts, I do the workouts. I use my 7 years of experience coaching in an affiliate, along with my deep and ever-growing understanding of the methodology, to put together an always challenging and rewarding, often humbling program to make you better. I want to help people and nothing else. Help people move better, train better, compete better, live better. Legacy comes later. Live now. Live better. Train Sentinel.
If you did shit at the Open, which I did, you can join Train Sentinel and actively train it consistently, which I didn't. Did you do 25.1? You did it twice, did you?
I didn't. I usually do them twice, but I just did it once.
Oh, you were doing some other thing with burpees yesterday. Was it some different?
I just love it. Yeah, I just love it so much. I just doubled up. But no, once this year on 25.1. Anyway.
Yeah, it's amazing how quickly it just dissipates. You're left with nothing. I went in reasonably confident, thinking, I'm sure the year has stood me in good, has left me in good stead or whatever. And then I did what did I do it? Yesterday. And in my round of, I don't know, towards the end of my round of 15, I was like, well, obviously, if you don't maintain it, it goes away.
Yeah.
And it was rough. I redid it today. It was so funny. I did it in a Globo gym, and I did it on Sunday. And they have, those like really short handle dumbbells with a massive diameter disc on the end. So I had blamed that last night going to bed. I was like, it was just because I had to jump so high over the dumbbell. That's what the problem was. So I went back today and brought my own dumbbell like a twat.
You brought a dumbbell to the gym.
I brought my own 22.5, my own 50-pound dumbbell into the gym, and I scanned in, and a guy that works there was like, excuse me, and like called me over, and he said, what are you doing? I was like, I just want to use a hex dumbbell. I don't want to use the round one, if that's all right. And he was like, yeah, it's fine. It's just weird. And I was like, oh, I know. I'm aware it's weird. Globo Gym was a guy doing kickboxing behind you. So that's the guy who's currently, well, the first score is fake. So the guy who's like second or third, I think, was doing it in a Globo Gym, and there was a guy just going ham on a punching bag and like air kicking and air punching behind him the whole time. And I don't know how he got such a good score being so distracted. He's at Wadapalooza. I can't remember his name. He begins with an S, but I can't remember his name. But actually, my video's uploading. It takes fucking ages for videos to upload from your phone to YouTube, and you can't put in a score without a YouTube link. Oh, there we go, George Sterner. That's the one. And it's still uploading, but yeah, I was counting back. I didn't know how many reps I did at the end, so I was counting back the last bit, and I realized there is actually a guy between me and the phone doing kickboxing on a punching bag the entire time. So yeah, that was funny. Yeah, no, I fucked it.
It was fun. It was fun. It was a good one. I enjoyed it.
I was incredibly grateful that it was bodyweight lunges. I remember at the time thinking, oh, that's weird. And then during it thinking, thank God I didn't have to carry the dumbbell.
I agree. I assumed until I think the morning of that it was a dumbbell. But yeah, the lunges were okay, weren't they?
Yeah. I did something to my ligament in my knee like last February. So that was yesterday was the first time I lunged. And I had put it off. I kept thinking Friday, like Thursday night, Friday, Saturday. I was like, I'll just do one lunge in the kitchen just to make sure that I can do a lunge. And then I was like, no, don't, because if I can't, it's going to annoy me. So I'll just push it off as long as possible. But yeah, pain-free. So I'm happy out. I'm delighted with that. Wow. George Turner, yeah, tied for second with Jeffrey Adler right there. That's Apollo. Bartley Dale. Have you seen he has like an app, a website and an app. Maybe there's no app yet, but a website. But it ranks everyone based on their most recent performances. So like it takes like Wadapalooza, the games, Rogue, all that stuff into account, and it gives them a point system, which I don't understand, but I'm assuming Bartley does. But yeah, it's really good. Fake dumbbell? No, it wasn't a fake one. I brought mine from home. You get a link when it's my score is in, but it takes a long time for the. It's actually really good as well when you upload your video. So I did it yesterday, uploaded a video, and I had it as unlisted because I was like, nobody wants to see that. Put my score in, and it said this video is either unlisted or doesn't exist. And I was like, motherfucker. So I was like, right, it's going to have to be public. That's fine. We can watch everyone watch me dying. How are you, Dan? Are you in your house or a hotel or where?
I'm in a hotel, so I'm in Amsterdam. I'm meeting Nike in Amsterdam, so I'm here for.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, but the internet's better in London, so I was lucky that I'm here. So yeah.
Is that their? Your internet is shit in London. Actually, is Nike headquarters in Amsterdam then?
Yeah, their European headquarters is in Hilversum, just outside Amsterdam.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
So I'm actually here to talk to their, as you know, with these businesses, like the management teams evolve over the years, everyone changes, and I'm here to talk to them about CrossFit, High Rocks, the general scene of the fitness scene at the moment, because the team's totally transitioned and changed from the days of the Metcon, so they basically are unaware of what's going on.
It's interesting, isn't it? How much it is crazy though, because obviously I'd be in contact with brands like from time to time, but it's crazy how you talk to someone and assume, well, they probably know. There's no point explaining this to them, and then you start talking to them, you're like, right, okay, so CrossFit is this thing. You have to go like right back to Greg Glassman.
Yeah, you really do. You really do. You know, Nike's kind of, in a way different. Our contact here, she's an OG. She's been doing the Open 12 years, but then the rest of them, have struggled with it. So, we're here for that. Yeah,
you can have a chat with them about. I'm assuming that's why the management team has changed so much, because of the Matt Fraser Metcons that were released. They were like, all right, we're cleaning the house. That whole department is.
Yeah. I'm told I'm seeing some innovation there. So let's see.
Interesting. So Wit is back. That's the last time you were on the show. Wit was just about to kind of relaunch. How has that gone? Have you been happy with how it's gone?
It's been fun, I'd say, more than anything, because it's kind of about the old group that founded the company, like me and Sam plus friends back together doing it. It's a new iteration. We're focusing on our own apparel rather than selling the other brands. So there's some challenges there, and it's definitely different. But we're enjoying it. Yeah, we're enjoying it. It's going really well in the UK. We're sticking to the UK, in the short term. So yeah, we've got some big plans from the summer when we launch a full clothing range, and we are also working with the footwear brands as well. So we'll do some cool stuff in the summer. But that's going well. Thank you.
You're doing a lot of like in affiliate stuff as well, aren't you? Like visiting kind of gyms, and I can't remember the name. What's the name of that boxing gym that you're doing stuff with?
Jab. So yeah, we're doing that. So we're doing like these mini residencies. So last 3 weeks we've been at District Battersea, which is a CrossFit gym in London, which most people in London will know about. And then we're doing similar at Gymnasium, which is another CrossFit gym in Wandsworth in a couple of weeks' time. So we're just going in, running our own workouts, because we don't have a site anymore. Remember, we used to have a site. So everyone's kind of doing the same thing. So we're trying to put our spin on it. But it's enjoyable. I'm really enjoying being back in the gyms, basically, and amongst the community with Wit.
Have you noticed a big change from, say, doing it the way that you did do it, where you had your own site and people used to come to you, versus reaching out to gyms and asking, can you set up shop? Can you, hang around for a few weeks? Like, has everyone been like graciously welcoming, or have people been reluctant? Like, I'm assuming it's, you probably have to slot into a calendar between like seminars and all the different kind of stuff that goes on.
Yeah, people are generally pretty open to it, just because it gets like new faces in their gym, but it's not the same. Like the reason I loved our original business so much was because we had the gym. I like doing CrossFit in the gym, and I liked mixing with the members in the gym, and it was easy to do events in the gym. And I think that was a USP for Wit. And I think the guys in the team now are seeing what a USP it was. So, maybe in the future we'll do something similar, because that was unique. That was totally unique.
Yeah. Even like if you didn't, I know like London is great and everything, but even if you went out a bit, you'd surely get, it's still a draw. It's like a destination thing to go to. Do you know what I mean? If you say like you get a massive facility, like a Rogue style big facility further out than just some small little pokey unit in the middle of the city, which is great for football, but it's like a shoebox.
Yeah, you never know. It might be something like that. And it definitely won't be. I don't think we'll ever go central. Like it's just, well, as we know in London, like the problem is for CrossFit boxes, real estate, same as in the US cities. So it'll be further out anyway. I think, like you said, it'll be something like bigger that we can just really host big events and community and stuff like that.
It's crazy as well here. Like I've noticed there's maybe 3, like bear in mind there's not a lot of affiliates in Ireland, but there's 3 affiliates have closed in the last like 8 months, 6 months because of landlords just suddenly deciding like, nah, I'm going to sell it, or nah, I want you out because I can get more now. And like you're at the end of your current deal, so I'm not going to re-sign you. And these guys have been in like 5-10 year deals, and now they've lost their place and they've nowhere to go. So there's like 2 gyms that I know have been around for well over 10-12 years are just gone, and they've just sold their equipment because they can't even find a relocation. So like it's a big problem here where there's just no units, and any of the units that are there, it's insane how much money people want for rent, and for like people are just gone crazy. Like the market price is just nuts.
It's gone bonkers. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Your other role then, so you're balancing the relaunch of WIT with, are you still doing what do you call it? Not deputy. What's the word I'm looking for? Interim CEO of Northern Spirit. Is that still on the go?
So my role at Northern Spirit is full time.
Okay.
So that kind of the WIT's like I'm supporting from the side and helping them with products. So with Northern Spirit, I work for their parent company, B Sport, and I manage the Northern Spirit business. And in recent times, I've also started to manage the Waterbox business, of which we've also acquired the retailer in Spain, Fittest Freakist.
Okay.
Those businesses, we're integrating them together. So those kind of teams report into me. So last year, obviously, Northern Spirit was super busy supporting the semi-finals, and that's basically what the whole year was focused around. This year, it's kind of without that, it's kind of like we suddenly have to revise strategy completely and go again. So it's almost like starting again, but not starting again because people know who we are. And then our other business in that sector is Fittest Freakist and Waterbox. So we're merging those 2 businesses.
What's Waterbox?
So that's a French retailer in the CrossFit sector.
So similar to Fittest Freakist. That's in Spain, isn't it? Fittest Freakist.
Yeah, Fittest Freakist is in Barcelona. So they're basically the same.
Kind of like WIT was. Kind of. Would that be accurate?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I'd say where they probably lack where we were, which we'll try and amend, is that they can't access some of the brands because, sometimes brands want to be associated with only like the coolest brand out there or the most elevated brand out there. But we got some big plans for Fittest Freakist. They've done some cool things with Nike in the past.
Didn't they do like an elite invite? I remember Mundweiler and a few other, like Sarah and a few others doing a competition in Barcelona or something. And Matt Fraser was there, I think, actually.
Yeah, and we hope we'll bring that back. We might even do something this year.
Cool.
The MD of that company's really good brand guy, really good at events. So we want to really do things like that in Spain and France with that company, and we'll align that with Northern Spirit where we can. So that's pretty much what I do full time, and it's been a crazy journey with them, but it's fun. It's interesting to say the least.
So does that leave you with then almost like a consultant, kind of like still involved and you give a shit, but like your role, your 9-to-5 role would be more of a consultant than a hands-on all the time type person?
Yeah, so I'm pretty much leading on product for WIT. So manufacturing development of product, and I'm doing very similar role in the other business as well. So it can streamline together. But I with WIT, I do the product and I work in the community. So when we've got events, I'll go to gyms and like show my friends, do CrossFit, do the workout, and that part. And with Northern Spirit, And Fittest Freakers, obviously, I'm not in Spain or France, but I'm more, leading strategy for that business.
Is it difficult balancing all of that and then like not letting your own stuff just go to shit altogether, like your relationships, your fitness, your everything else when you got, because like most people have a job and then maybe they have a hobby, but you have a job and then your hobby is another job, another business.
The fitness is not a problem because I'll always fit the fitness in, because the beauty of both my jobs is that we work out. You have to go into gyms and work out. Every time I'm in Lyon, we'll go to Lyon is where B Sport is. I'll go into one of the CrossFit boxes, and every day in London I'm working with Whit, I'll go into a box or another gym. So relationships haven't been as successful, but the fitness is fine. The fitness is fine.
That's great. Heidi was asking earlier on if you're single, so maybe that's your answer, Heidi. Where is it? There it is. There. So B Sport is the parent company, so that's Northern Spirit, Waterbox, and now Fittest Freakist, and Hustle Up, or no? Is that separate?
And Hustle Up, yeah, we own Hustle Up.
Hustle Up's been in the news quite a bit recently.
Yeah.
It's in certain circles. I'm guessing then, would it be more accurate to say that B Sport should have been in the news? That the more accurate way of the rumors spreading would have been B Sport rather than Hustle Up or Northern Spirit?
Yeah, I think so. I think that those who were particularly good at connecting the dots got back to B Sport eventually.
Yeah.
But B Sport is our parent company, so yeah, that makes sense.
Did you watch Suze's show with Spin and Tyler?
Yeah.
Did he play detective well?
I've been sent all the links, but there was some good detective work. But there's also, some of the rumors are pretty outrageous, but some of the detective work was phenomenal. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I particularly liked the scrolling through our LinkedIn pages. I think mine was pretty up to date, thank God. I don't think Malik's was up to date, but that was seriously impressive.
Yeah. Suze loves a good. Like sometimes when I picture Suze, I think of, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia with the whiteboard with all the string. Like that's just Suze's room. Yeah,
I was loving that.
Yeah. So Malik then, who's he? He's the overall like big daddy of all those companies that we've talked about, basically, like the B Sport CEO, basically. Malik's
our founder, yeah. So he's the owner of B Sport. He does have colleagues who work alongside him, but he is ultimately the founder of the company, yeah.
And who's he? Like, is he French? Is he like, where's he from, or where does he lives in Lyon, I assume?
Yeah, he's French Algerian. He lives between Lyon and Geneva, and his story is basically what they I don't know if it was it Rich who said it on his podcast, maybe. Yeah, maybe it was Rich or on Savannah's.
On Savannah's, I think, yeah.
So that story is I think quite well known, and he basically walked into a CrossFit box about, I probably got the dates wrong, but 6-7 years ago. He'd had some very serious health problems. Like I think he'd had a heart attack previously, and he played rugby in his youth at quite a high level. Then he'd had some serious health problems, and he's found CrossFit. He's a very, very strong guy, but CrossFit is like transformed his health and fitness completely. And he's made some money in construction and property, and he wanted to get into the sector because it kept him alive, basically. It kept him alive, and he's a big part of the community in France. So he wanted to kind of invest in a passion. A lot of people make money in something that they're not necessarily passionate about and want to give back to what they are passionate about.
Yeah, made a bit of money in real estate, like probably a fairly substantial amount of money. Like made a bit of money in property and real estate, or development of real estate. It's probably underselling him a bit. So he started off with B Sport, and then like in the last maybe 12 months, maybe 18 months, we'll say 14 months, probably, we could just split the difference. Northern Spirit really like blew up, like really came to the forefront, where it kind of was that a rebrand? That used to be B Sport and it was rebranded as a separate kind of branch of B Sport as Northern Spirit, or how did it suddenly just come into the kind of general cognizance?
So I believe so Northern Spirit's been around a long time. Like you'll probably remember them originally. I mean, when I was at WIT, we worked with the guys who founded it originally in like 2015 from Sweden. And then I think Malik acquired that business in like 2020, just before COVID. Obviously, COVID, everything was quiet. And then he's friends with the guys. He got to know with the guys at the French Throwdown. And then, Northern Spirit started to really take off when they sponsored the French Throwdown in 21 or 22. So we've been close partners with them for 4 years. And over those 4 years, the partnership with the French Throwdown has created a lot of growth in France. And we're great partners with the French Throwdown. They've been great partners for us. And then that kind of gave Malik, an insight into the world of CrossFit. And then before I joined the business, they had an opportunity. They entered negotiations with CrossFit, and they CrossFit created this odd opportunity to split sponsorship between GoRuck and Northern Spirit. So we signed that deal, and then obviously last year is when Northern Spirit became, put itself on the map with the sponsorship of the semi-finals, basically. So we've seen growth in the last 12 months. Yeah.
One guy it's hard to get praise from is Savan, and I thought it was interesting how when he was talking to Rich, he said that he was incredibly impressed with the turnaround time and the speed and quality of the work with the semi-final stuff. Because, usually you go to, we've all been to a competition where you get a t-shirt and you're like, this is a piece of shit. Like, it's going to fall apart if it rains. So yeah, I think a lot of that stuff kind of seemed like it was last minute, and that it was, not on, I don't think that any of the blame necessarily lays with Northern Spirit. I think we kind of all understand where the last minute aspect tends to come from. But it wasn't like a very well structured, laid out plan. It was a lot of like scrambling and trying to plug holes, basically. Is that accurate?
Yeah. So when I joined in I think February or March last year, they told me, I saw this deal on the table saying that we had to provide apparel for, I think, 7 semi-finals in 6 continents, and I basically said, "We're fucked," because we can't do that. Because obviously, having been in the game for a while, I just didn't think it was possible. So what the team did was, frankly, phenomenal and unheard of. Not just to produce the apparel, but to get it into countries like Brazil and South Africa, which no one, by the way, has done in the past, even Reebok. At the actual events, obviously Reebok could trade in those countries, and there were some problems with some of it. There was some problems with some of it, but because we had to turn it around in 3 months when it should take 9. But I was super. I was kind of humbled by what Savan said, and I made sure the team saw that, because I think a lot of people, when they took a step back, did appreciate what had happened. Because of the amount that we were investing in the community athletes at these events, in the volunteers, in the judges, and the quality of the t-shirts were 90% good, but there was some errors. So I was actually we were all humbled by him saying that, because it is nice. You only hear the haters. You do only hear the haters, and it's really nice to get that feedback. And I think that the ethos of Northern Spirit has just been to work with affiliates and the community. So to hear that was great.
I think as well, it kind of means a lot. It's kind of like, if your dad doesn't give you a lot of hugs and then he does give you a hug, it's like, oh, I actually earned, like, it wasn't just a pity thing. Like, Savan doesn't hold back. If something is shit, he'll say it's shit, or he just won't talk about it. So, any praise is like very high praise in my experience. I don't know if I just kind of pseudo referred to him as dad there. Maybe I should go back and edit that out. With so after that, then, God, I can only imagine you going in and seeing the deal and be like, what the fuck did you do? After that, so the games, obviously, like, horrible Lazar and all that stuff is just like stuff of nightmares, basically. Northern Spirit were essentially not involved in the games. Is that accurate? It was more like GoRuck were kind of on that. So that was, stroke of luck for you guys that it was like, cool, that's not on our watch, that's fine. After that, then, so there was rumors, like, say last So I'm just going to throw a shit ton of rumors at you, and you can just say I'm not
Yeah.
answering that, or you can clarify them, or you can like do whatever you need to do. But I can't not ask. So last like summer, there was kind of rumors going around that maybe Adidas were going to try and buy the sport, but not the whole company, and then that there was this other group, which has been was kind of dubbed like a Saudi Arabian group, which I now think is like Malik, and basically there might be a Saudi guy there, but it's not all of them. It's not the whole country. And that they were involved in buying everything. They were talking about buying everything, and that it was like, right, let's talk about this after the games. Then obviously the games happens, and everyone's like, hang on a minute, I'm not really sure. Like Adidas were like, right, we're heading back to Germany, forget it. And that basically a gap, a chasm started to appear on the valuation of the company between the people who are interested in buying it and the people who are interested in selling it. And it was like, do you realize what just happened and what the brand value currently is? And it's like, it's fine, we'll bounce back, it's cool, was basically the conversation happening. And then everything was just put on ice for like 6 months. Is that accurate so far, more or less?
No, it's not strictly accurate.
Okay.
So I'd say, so what happened from our perspective is that there was nothing.
One second, Dan. Sorry, Adidas is incorrect. It's Adidas.
Yeah, it's Adidas. You're right, and it is a European company, so we're right, aren't we?
Okay, sorry, Dan. Well,
so there was nothing happening before the games. Definitely not, because we spent a lot of time with CrossFit at the games before the incident.
There was no even inkling, like maybe he wanted to, but there was no actual conversations. Okay, right, okay.
No, literally nothing at all. So at the games there was just meetings with CrossFit about potential partnership deals in the future with regards to Northern Spirit, Hustle Up, etc. Then obviously the incident happened, and any and all conversations were rightly put on hold for a few months. And then from Northern Spirit's perspective, we had an inkling that something had happened with GoRuck, which obviously has turned out to be true. So we showed interest in the headline deal, but no, this is not for the entity. We were just showing interest in that headline deal.
So like the Northern Spirit CrossFit Games or the Hustle Up CrossFit Games or whatever. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So we'd been good partners with CrossFit. We'd seen it. It'd been difficult, and it definitely wasn't all rosy. But from a return on investment perspective, at least it was getting us awareness. So we could see the potential of signing a long-term deal for a small company like Northern Spirit. So we entered seriously into those negotiations. There was rumors of Adidas and all this, but I think that was total bullshit the whole time, because Adidas is not going to buy CrossFit. They're not going to, strategically, it's just not going to be on their radar.
Is Adidas owned by Reebok? Are they separate, or are they the one company?
They're separate now, yeah.
Okay.
So that was definitely rumor, but from our perspective, no conversations about the entity. Not that I was aware of. It was all partnership stuff, and unfortunately, we didn't get to an agreement there. But no hard feelings there. We wanted to become a good partner, but we just didn't work out that way for the long-term deal.
And I'm guessing that's just like financial thing, that like you couldn't find a middle ground of what you wanted and what they wanted, basically.
Yeah, we couldn't find we couldn't find common ground to go forward. We got really close, and actually, I've had some up and downs in the past with CrossFit partnership team, me and my businesses I've been involved with or know of. But in this case, we're on fantastic terms, and they've always been great to us. We've been great to them. Just couldn't get to middle ground on the commercials.
And what about spin? How many millions close? What about the semi-finals then? Are you still partnering with French Throwdown? Are you partnering with any others? Or because obviously that's different now. Last year they were CrossFit semi-finals, but now this year they're separate.
Yeah, that's challenging for the semi-finals because partnerships become difficult. We're partnering with the French Throwdown. We're partnering with Syndicate Crown. We're partnering with Mayhem Classic. We're partnering with maybe a couple of others, but it would just be North America and Europe because logistically it was just too difficult for us last year. So without that partnership commitment, we're just sticking to North America.
It's interesting. You kind of you paused as you said syndicate. Your face was like, "Am I meant to say this?"
I think about what emails I've seen today, but no, Syndicate Crown is not signed on the dotted line. Put it that way. But we had a great time there last year, so it's highly likely.
Yeah, Wilson's great too. Like that's going to be a huge event. Okay, so then some other rumors then have been I don't know why, but in the last, so I've heard, like say that one that I ran by of the Adidas and you guys, I've heard that, and then it kind of went away, and then I heard like, oh, maybe before Christmas, and then that kind of went away, and then it was maybe end of February was like like I heard it from a lot of different places all at once, which usually is a good sign for others. Probably is something to that. Why do you think that the rumors picked up so quickly? Like, why do you think that it just suddenly spiked up in the last like 3 weeks?
Honestly, and obviously I can't reveal all and everything I know to you today, but in this case, honestly, I don't know where that came from. We were completely blindsided. Now, I'm not involved in a lot of the stuff B Sport does, but I can say fairly confidently that those rumors, we literally have no clue where they've come from. Someone has been spreading something that just simply is not true. So I really don't know. It caught everyone by surprise, and it was quite for Malik. It's difficult, and an invasion of privacy really, because he's a really private guy. So it caught everyone by surprise.
Was he annoyed by it then?
No, I wouldn't say he was annoyed. I'd say he was. I mean, by his LinkedIn, he's a really private guy. He's a private guy. He's just a successful private guy. So, and when it's only obviously we're in this small bubble, but when your like private life, professional life's like dragged up, especially when there's no like meat to the rumor, it's not great. Put it that way.
Spin is asking, have you watched Susan United? Yes, Brian. If you were here from the start of the show, you would have heard Daniel say that some of the detective work was incredible, and then some of it was maybe lackluster.
I did give credit for the detective work. It was the best I've seen. So I was impressed. Yeah, that's why I'm referred to the LinkedIn.
So a rumor with no meat to it is interesting. Is that, when you say that, do you mean that there's no meat to it in regards to there's absolutely no way that it's happening full stop, or there's no meat to it in the sort of way of currently there is no deadline in sight where we're about to sign something that would lead to a rumor like that?
I'm always lost with where you've gone with that, but I think I can.
So like it's absolutely categorically not true, or there's some truth to it, but just not as much truth as would lead people to jump to that conclusion.
So I think, again, I'm not exposed to everything, and I definitely have not been exposed to any offers, conversations, been near any of that. But I certainly can never say never, but I can 100% say that they're wildly off the mark.
Like, would you call them premature then? Maybe would that be an accurate description?
Wildly so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But for someone to be premature, there has to be, at least friction.
But you know what? There might be, but I don't. When these rumors first came out, because of all this rumors about this Saudi consortium and stuff like this, I was like, someone else is bidding for CrossFit. Honestly, it was so far from the truth that it didn't, like the B Sport rumors didn't really align with what the rest of was being said, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, it is CrossFit out there on the market, in private equity channels? Maybe it is. So maybe there is more than one party involved, and maybe there's multiple parties involved. I was getting lost with what was going on.
Yeah. I mean, you've been around like private equity, and you've seen like what happens when those kind of like, oh, we'll save it investors like come along. I mean, those guys, they're Berkshire or whatever, they're like what, 3 maybe 4 years into what tends to be like a 5-year, usually it's like a 5-year cycle. Obviously they hit what I'm sure they would refer to in the very least as a speed bump last August or whatever. I mean, it's difficult for them to sell it because like they have to significantly lower the price that they're asking for it, which if it was just like me or you selling it, you'd be like, well, I guess I'll just cut my losses and, get rid of it. But for them, they kind of can't, like their whole model is based on not losing money. So at least breaking even. And then I'm assuming that breaking even would, if they approach someone like B Sport and said, right, here's what we want, B Sport would be like, fuck off. Like, no, we're not paying that much. So then that leaves them in an awkward position too.
Yeah.
There's rumors lately of like another private equity group or another that they're kind of talking to banks and like financial institutions about purchasing it, which like, I don't know what you think, but that terrifies me because like, well, the first group fucked it. So what's the next group is just going to strip it for parts or just like sell off anything and everything that's removable. And then you're left with just like nothing.
Yeah. I mean, the two parts of that, I think the first part, you're bang on. I think, again, I don't know the figures being thrown around, but private equity will come in and in 5 years, they'll want a 3 to 5x return, preferably on the upper end. So let's say they bought it for 220 million, I think it was. They really want to be selling it for $1 billion. I think that was their goal originally. Obviously, they're not going to sell it for that. They're likely going to sell it for the same or less than what they bought it for, which means zero return for their investors, whoever they are. And really, they're just getting their money out. And they've probably been charging fees per month over the last few years, but they're just trying to get the money back. I think that is a problem for people that are going to bid for the business, because although the EBITDA might be healthy because they've put affiliate fees up.
The what? Sorry.
Although the profitability might be healthy or healthier, they because the affiliates fees have gone up. I know affiliates have gone down, but arguably they will see the efficiencies have gone up. What they're not seeing as a private equity group, they're not seeing what you and I see. They're not seeing the holistic, emotive, day-to-day stuff that's going on. So they're only seeing like bottom line and top line. And that is a problem with private equity in any business sometimes. I think what it needs, and you guys discussed it, Savan's discussed it, you guys discussed it, they discussed it on Sosa's show, is a private owner would be good in theory if it's the right private owner, because their goal would not be 5-year 5x return. It would be, we're coming into this business for the long term because we love the business. We think we can make profit year on year. Yes, we can take that profit out, but for the affiliates, we're going to be here for 10, 20 years. That's what we need.
Is Matt, hypothetically, is Malik the type of owner who would sit back and say, all right, we're probably going to see piss all for the first couple of years, but like long game, let's look at 2028 as we're going to start seeing real bottom line changes. Whereas up until that point, we might look like we're treading water. It might look like we're, that there's nothing coming in or nothing coming out, but we'll get this right. We'll fix that. We'll, tighten up some of this kind of stuff. Is he the type of person to do that, like the long play?
I think hypothetically, having worked in the business now for nearly a year, it's very long term. Everything's long term. So Northern Spirit, long term. Fittest Freakist, long term. Hustle Up, long term. And what I mean by that is there is no, like you said, I've worked with private equity before. We've got no exit goal. We're just trying to make really profitable, community focused brands for the long term. I think he cares deeply about CrossFit affiliates. So some of the ideas we had last year with Northern Spirit, when I first came in, I don't think you'll mind me saying this, he wanted to turn Northern Spirit into a cooperative model, like give it to the affiliates, give it like part in the affiliates. Now it was way too complex legally to do across continents. It was too difficult to do, but you could see his mindset straight away. And with Northern Spirit last year, the whole strategy was built around supporting the community at semi-finals and affiliates. So hypothetically, if someone with that strategy would go into CrossFit, then the affiliates are going to come first, basically.
Yeah. I mean, like, you guys can't realistically have made money last year with like selling off that like basically handing over that many t-shirts to even the double XL to the short stature athletes. Still like quite, it's still apparel that's being handed over for the naming rights basically, or for your name on an Instagram post. We
spent a lot of money on products last year. Yeah. But we've also done some great things to create profitability. We've built this partnership with Decathlon that you may have seen a little bit recently on Instagram, and we've done some great things for the CrossFit brand that has produced a lot of revenue as well.
That's good. Continuing the hypotheticals, do you think then, like, I've been trying to think of like, okay, what's a way for, if I was to buy CrossFit, if me and Dan, if the two of us went in together and we said, all right, Dan, you put up 99.999% and I'll throw in $100. I want my name.
I don't think we get anywhere near it, but yeah, go on.
I want my name on the door, but I'm not willing to invest. So if we bought it, like, what are the lowest hanging fruit to, like, basically, if you go on, I was talking about this in the show yesterday, if you go on Reddit or if you go on any barbell spin post or any morning chocolate post, it's like complete division from whether you're talking about affiliates or CrossFit HQ or the sport. Everything's just totally, it's like the birth of Protestantism. It's just like everybody just hates everybody. What do you think are the lowest hanging fruit, hypothetically, if a new owner was to come in to say, this is a good way to get the affiliates back on side, this is a good way to get the sport back on side, this is a good way to get like the training and education, or just the general disposition towards the company back on side?
Well, I think firstly, that division that you talk about is the fundamental problem at the moment. So we'd have to find a way. Yeah, like you say, there needs to be a way to fix that. I think with regards to affiliates, I mean, there's a couple of, I heard you speaking to Dan the other day, and I think there's a couple of obvious ones which my view would be similar to his with regards to, you could adapt affiliate fees again. You could have a period of consolidating affiliation, so not bringing on new affiliates for a while, focusing on the ones we've already got and the education and support of them. And thirdly, introducing some sort of area code or postcode restriction around affiliates. I think that's important, and I think everyone would agree with that. With regards to the sport, we've got to get the athletes on side. There's no sport without athletes. So I think you need a diplomat in there to bridge that gap between, the two sides that you're talking about. Those that are suddenly not competing, and those that are competing. And I think it needs someone diplomatic that can, bring in that broad church of people and show them that CrossFit's bigger than all of this. They can go away and do their season with the World Fitness Project and everyone else, but fundamentally we still need the CrossFit Games as that halo effect for the whole brand. And I think we could get them back on board, but it's just getting those athletes back on board.
Yeah. Do you want them back on board though?
I think it's important for the sport. I think it's important.
But are you not curious to see what will happen this year with the ones who aren't competing? The pathway that opens up for people that we otherwise might not have seen, or for people like James Sprague, who in an average season probably, like, you know, maybe wouldn't have won the games and wouldn't have had the last 12 months that he's had or 8 months that he's had or whatever, that it opens the door for fresh blood and new people and and therefore a new audience and new, like, you know,
Well,
potential new people coming into affiliates.
so that's a good point. So I think if it opens a sport for a younger generation again, like it did 3-4 years ago with Emma, Mal, James, all that lot, then great. If it opens up to that, because I haven't seen many come through in the last couple of years. But I do think, like in any sport, I'm trying to think of other sports where there's been boycotts, because there's been plenty, as we know, over the years. You want the best people in the world competing, and you know, James Sprague wants the best people to compete against. Tia wants to compete against the best people. We want to see the best people. So I think you could argue, yeah, this little hiatus this year might you know, introduce a new crowd, which is good for everything. But I think you've got to have all the athletes there. You've got to have all the athletes there for the pinnacle. And it's challenging, but then it's similar to sports brands. Like when I came into CrossFit, I was never going to go to the games, but that aspirational, you know, event, the aspirations of being an athlete or seeing what.
Yeah, you can convince yourself for maybe 3 months when you first start. You're like, maybe if I just nail my sleep.
Depending on your age, but yeah, no, I totally agree. You can convince yourself, but I think they inspire people, those athletes, and and what CrossFit grew so quickly off those huge personalities that we had, like Sarah, Katrin, Matt, Rich, and we need that to happen again. But there needs to be the best of the best competing. This is just obviously my opinion, but yeah.
How, hypothetically then, how do you do that? Because like there's obviously one easy way to get them back in, is that you just fire Dave and you just say, oh, look, we did that thing that you wanted. Come on, like it's fine now. And then they'll obviously all be like, oh, well, hypothetically, maybe they wouldn't, I don't know. They'd be like, oh, cool, let's go back. But then that's a dangerous precedent to set. To say like, hey, if you guys get pissed off, we just do whatever you want to do, because, you know what I mean? There's kind of a balance there of like giving in to demands versus having a specific track that you're on and saying, no, this is the right track that we're on and it's the right thing that we're doing for the sport and for the affiliates then.
Yeah, I think, yeah, well, you know, keeping or firing Dave, I don't think necessarily the solution. But I think if you had the right individuals involved in a new organization, you know, people who are involved in CrossFit that can maybe look above the parapet of North America, you know, and across the globe, and what the views of the consumer and affiliates across the world are, I do think you could bring those athletes back in. Even if there's the PCAA or whatever it's called, and the Athlete Council, and the CrossFit Games and the World Fitness Project, I do think the right people could bring those athletes together. They could bring those athletes into one room and onto one floor again, whether that's with Dave involved or not Dave involved. I do believe it's possible. I do think the organisation needs modernising though, but I think, you know, I don't think Dave is the fundamental problem. I agree, like you say, some people say he is, but no, I don't think that's the only way we can get the athletes back.
Yeah, I mean, over the last, you know, maybe certainly the last 12 months, I'd argue Dave has been the only solution. Like he's the only person that actually, I mean, it's changed recently. There are some, like, I mean, there's some great people there currently doing a lot of good work, but like, you know, there's been like he did all those athlete interviews last year, like on his own. He's doing all the affiliate interviews this year. He showed up at the Masters Games like fucking 2 weeks after, probably one of the worst experiences of his life. You know, people were calling for his head, and he just still went, shook hands, kissed babies, whatever, kissed hands, shook babies. But he, yeah, like it's insane to me when you see him doing that, and then people saying, "Oh, well, Dave's the problem." It's like, I mean, he's probably like, what's the solution then? Because if the problem is someone who's going to fucking Amsterdam to visit 2 affiliates in one building, which I still can't fucking wrap my head around. There's 2 gyms in one building that he was standing in. Yeah. when there's someone doing that, when I mean, like a lesser guy would have been over at Mayhem just lording it up, like, you know, in the middle of the spotlight, whatever. He literally left the country when the announcement was on. You know, I don't know. It's confusing.
I mean, he cares deeply about affiliates and the sport, and he understands both, which is rare.
Yeah,
not many people do that. Whether that could be adapted with if someone came into the business and restructured how the sport is run versus and we talked about it in the past, but and people have talked about a lot how someone we were talking about someone buying the sport and buying the affiliate business. Well, if someone could come in and buy both but still silo the two, maybe that's feasible, and maybe that ownership of the sport would potentially bring the athletes back in, because I agree with you, there's not many people like Dave who know it both and care about it both. I mean, there's not many people like that left at all, really, but there is people outside the organization that also get it.
Yeah. The sport, I mean, like buying the sport and buying, like someone coming in, when I heard that Adidas were buying the sport, which, apparently isn't true, but my initial reaction was like whoever is driving that deal is a fucking idiot. Because if you think that you're going to, like when I see the World Fitness Project, I'm like, all right, cool. Like, let's see what happens here. But I do not know where you are going to get money from, apart from your own bank account or whoever's bank account. Like, I don't know where. It's amazing to say, like, we're going to pay the athletes. Cool. Great for the athletes. We're going to have prize money. Again, great for the athletes. We're going to sell out Copenhagen. Probably, yeah. Like, I'd say there'd be a waiting list for tickets. You're not going to sell out Indianapolis or the other US. I keep fucking forgetting what the second one is. But you're probably not going to sell out both of those. Just look at the semifinals last year. Syndicate did well, but it still wasn't sold out.
It was still quiet compared to French or Touring.
Yeah. So Copenhagen will probably sell out. Then you look at the amount of money that they're investing now, the engagement that they're getting on posts, and like, oh, here's your qualifier, here's your divisions, whatever. The engagement they're getting on their YouTube, all that kind of stuff. I mean, they have to be sweating a little bit, thinking like, shit, like I don't know where we're going to get this money from back. So then when you hear about someone buying CrossFit the sport, it's just going to result in the same thing of like, all right, cool. How are you going to make money from it though? Because it's essentially just one insanely expensive advertisement is what the CrossFit Games is, the season, basically.
Yeah, it is. But there's a lot of marketing lines in businesses where there's an insanely expensive marketing line, but people are investing in it for that long-term or awareness or top of funnel awareness. And I think where it did almost, now I don't know the commercials of the old semi-finals or regionals, but I imagine it, Reebok contributed a great deal to them in the past. So one, it's still possible to turn the CrossFit brand around and have a sports brand contributing a significant amount of money to the sport. And when I say the sport, I mean a structured season with whether it's semi-finals, regional, and final. But also, aside from generating enough revenue or sponsorship to put it on, it can still be one big marketing line for CrossFit affiliates. Because that's why people like me and a lot of others, maybe you and everyone else, walked into gyms because they saw Rich on YouTube or they saw Rich on Instagram. Probably wasn't Instagram back then. But it can be one big marketing line. MySpace. It could be the marketing line, the CrossFit Games. Instead of pumping God knows how much into paid ads that they're doing at the moment, it could be that the Games is the marketing line for affiliates. So yeah, you're right. It probably doesn't make much commercial spend, especially not without a lead sponsor. But with a lead sponsor and with a long-term plan to achieve profitability through the affiliates, it can be a marketing line.
Wow. Spin remembers watching the updates of regionals back on Twitter in 2012.
I didn't know Twitter was around in 2012 actually, but
yeah, it's not around anymore now. It's X. Yeah, suck on these nuts, lovely. How much does Rogue make from the invitation? Like, I'd say the Invitational they have to hemorrhage money. But again, it's like, look at all this cool stuff you can buy on our website. And
Well,
look at these athletes that we have, like Adler, like Tia, like whoever else is a rogue athlete, and like we're promoting them, and then we're also promoting our website. Or look at these cool dumbbells. Look at this. No one's going to buy a log muscle up, but you know what I mean.
So exactly that's exactly the example of what I just said. So obviously Rogue are in a different position because they're a highly profitable entity. So they're able to put the games on. Sorry, not the games. The invitation on at a loss. But it is a fantastic marketing tool because it looked fucking phenomenal, and everyone that went there said it looked phenomenal. And the CrossFit Games can be that. And if it's just the CrossFit Games, and then there's a season leading up to it, semi-finals, regionals, I don't know what else, and that's what they're putting on. And then the athletes can still, compete in a season alongside that to earn money through the World Fitness Project. Then it could work as a marketing line. But yeah, Rogue are obviously making a lot of money.
Yeah, just a bit. They do it right though, in fairness. It's crazy. Like, that event is nuts. Do you think then that, so one of the things that Rich was kind of talking about, he's obviously spent a lot of time, or a considerable amount of time with like Malik and the other guys, like he's kind of saying they went out for dinner and stuff.
Yeah.
One of the things that was, he was kind of saying was like, why aren't CrossFit going to, I actually don't know if it was him that said this, but why aren't CrossFit going, I think it was, why aren't CrossFit going to High Rocks races with a level 1 stand and saying like, hey, do you want us to shave 10 minutes off your time? Like, you should come and do this, or a CrossFit affiliates booth, with the same kind of thing, and then put one of the red shirts into the High Rocks, get a great time, and then, yeah, you need to go over to that booth because that's where that guy came from. Like, that sort of external stuff is kind of what he was kind of talking about.
I couldn't agree more. I think when High Rocks rocked up 3 years ago, and I think they went to CrossFit, I believe, and said, should we collaborate on an event? They should have snapped that up, because it's a two-way thing. Because firstly, like you say, that you put a booth there, and it's it's kind of awareness for the affiliates. Secondly, everyone that does High Rocks, pretty much 90% training in CrossFit gyms that are putting carpets down. And thirdly, if there's a High Rocks event and a CrossFit event, whether it's the CrossFit Games and a High Rocks World Championships in the same arena, like, the High Rocks attendees are going to be really fucking blown away by what's happening in the arena, in the CrossFit arena. And they're going to think, oh, actually, I want to snatch and I want to do butterfly floats. I don't just want to run around and push sleds and pull sleds. I couldn't agree more with Rich. I think the problem with CrossFit over the years, and some of the legacy staff, has been the lack of willingness to collaborate with other brands because of the restrictions on the IP. And I think that could make an amazing difference. Like, there's a million High Rocksers, and half of them should be doing CrossFit as well.
So what do you do then? Lessen the restrictions on IP use then? Do you just kind of ease off a bit?
I think, like, fundamentally, like you said, I think events would be a great place to start with High Rocks, like some collaboration on whether it's CrossFit Games and High Rocks World Champs, or something less than that, Syndicate Crown and a High Rocks event. That'd be a great way to start. But yeah, I think loosening off the IP, might be helpful in the future. How that looks, I'm not 100% sure, but I do think it's been maybe a bit too restrictive in the past and affected growth.
Do you think is Malik, again, hypothetically, is he the kind of guy that would say, all right, I want to be in that seat, that I want to be the CEO, I want to be in charge? Or is he the type of guy that would say, I really like it, like, I'm really passionate about it, but I know that, Dave will be better suited, or Daniel Shafi will be better suited, or Rich Froning will be better suited, or whatever. Like, I'm going to hand pick someone that I think, or 2 or 3 people that I think would be better positioned? Or is he the type that's like, no, fuck off, I'm doing it?
No, he's very, he likes to surround himself with, like, the right people. So he did it with us, a Northern Spirit. He brought me in, and Hustle Up. He's got Florian, who was also on the detective work on Sosa's show. A very talented guy. He definitely he's born the, like, scars of small business, where you recognize you have to bring in people that have done it before. So that's what he's done in his current businesses.
Okay. So probably somebody else, if it was hypothetically to happen. What about So affiliates, you mentioned maybe a good potential idea for somebody would be to put a freeze on new affiliates and not take any new affiliates on until, I guess, like clean house and get everything in order that's already there. And then you said something about fees. Is that like lowering fees, do you think?
I think the most powerful thing would be to not necessarily to freeze, but clean house is a good way of putting it, actually. What can you put in place for current affiliates? It's going to enhance their growth and their support network, and why they're affiliating with CrossFit at all. I think the freeze on the restriction on distance makes sense. I know we're not a franchise business, CrossFit, but like you say, 2 in one building or 2, one across the street from the other, it's not ideal. And I know the beauty of CrossFit is a low barrier to entry for an owner, but I think that would make a big difference. Freezing affiliate openings would be a brave move, wouldn't it? That would be a brave move, but it could work. Like I don't know how long for, but and then
it would also probably need some kind of supply and demand, you'd imagine, of people saying like, "Oh shit, it's not as easy as just applying online now. I actually have to wait 6 months, 12 months, whatever."
So that I guess that's a good point, actually. That could be a good way of doing it. You do a temporary restriction, and then there has to be a proper application process with due diligence, very strict due diligence, which I think there used to be, actually. But and with regards to so that would be a brave move, and I don't know. That would be a brave one, but it could work.
And then maybe, do you think potentially lowering fees, would that be something on the table or no?
The thing is with the fees, it's like, I think, as we all know, the main problem was it just happened, basically, with no warning. And at a time when the affiliates perceived that they weren't, rightly or wrongly, I'm not an affiliate owner anymore, that they weren't getting the value for the original fees. So it was like a double whammy. And I think one of the downfalls of CrossFit over the past few months and years has been just general communication. Good communication would have sorted that out. And a roadmap of the value that was going to be added, whether it's through programming or platforms, etc. So again, I'm not I've never seen the commercials of the affiliate fees and what the profitability is, but lowering it would obviously be a nice show of goodwill. And how much, I don't know.
$10. Do you think, would you foresee big changes with education, or is that sort of just like, because I mean, that's the lifeblood of it, really, the seminar staff, the red shirts, like, anyone who's done their level 1 or level 2 is kind of like, oh, fucking hell, I really love it. Like, it's like taking some super serum for a while. Is it just kind of more of the same, like continue what's been happening, but maybe add other things, other avenues of education or training, or CPD or whatever?
I think the education is brilliant. I think it's produced some of the best coaches in the industry. I think the issue with my last point about freezing affiliates is that it could have an impact on the course numbers, obviously, because half of the people, as we know, that do a level 1 don't necessarily do it for a short-term goal of being a coach, although they do, obviously, but a lot of them have got a long-term goal to open an affiliate. So if you put a restriction on that, maybe it'll affect the numbers of the education. So it's like chicken and egg there. But I think I don't know enough about the education. I imagine it needs some modernization, but I think, like you said, it's the lifeblood of the organization. Is something that people still speak very highly about. I've done a level 1, and I know a lot of people have done level 2 and 3, and it's brilliant.
Yeah. Like, people will say that, so obviously WIT is here now, but like it was gone, like it essentially went bust or whatever, like was taken over. You say when you joined Northern Spirit, there was that contract that was signed, and you were kind of like, what the fuck, who agreed to this, basically? Like, would it hypothetically be a risk, given historical experiences, to take over something of this magnitude that affects this many people, that, like, or is it a case of like, well, we can't do worse than private equity owning it. Do you know what I mean? Like, would you empathize with people being
Yeah.
apprehensive if they see, here are the new owners, and then this like do a Sousa deep dive into LinkedIn and think, hang on a minute.
I think it's a risk for CrossFit. Acquiring CrossFit is a risk for anyone, let's face it, at the moment, because of the trajectory of affiliate numbers and open participation and what's happened. But I think a lot of people would love to acquire it and give it a go. Like you said, you and me, well, I'm sure we'd love to do it if we could raise the money. So I'm sure there'd be a hell of a lot of people that would love to acquire it because they're passionate about it. Two, think they could put a strategy in place to revive it. And I think with regards to B Sport, specifically, I think it's a business full of successful people. Malik's very obviously hugely successful guy, and the rest of us in the organization have had huge success in the industry and continue to do so. So everyone's got some challenges in their past, and most of the best businessmen and entrepreneurs and women in the world have been through those challenges. There's very few that have got rich quickly. So I think, the team's pretty good. But that's what I'd say to it.
Susan's asking how I got that like button on the video to do an animation when you press it. Everybody should press the like button and check what animation he's talking about. There's no animation. Spin says he'll match my $100. There we go. It's like crowdfunding.
You could probably do it if we stayed on for 24 hours.
The slowest crowdfunding ever. Someone commented on that you're wearing a Patagonia sweatshirt. Did you see what happened with my Patagonia they're definitely not Patagonia t-shirts. Myself and Vindicate made t-shirts that were not dissimilar from the Patagonia, the torn mountain strip thing. And they emailed us and said, like, cease and desist, like, stop.
Really?
Yeah. And I had actually typed out a reply saying, I'm not really sure what you're talking about. I guess I can kind of see it now. And before I hit send, I scrolled down, and in the email, they had screenshot a photo of me wearing the t-shirt standing beside a Patagonia store from my Instagram. But I was like, all right, okay, they've done Sousa levels of research on this legal team.
That is crazy. But by the way, that's a compliment, right? That's a full-on compliment.
I mean, I don't think we sold enough for them to be like shaking in their boots or like worried about their brand integrity or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's good that someone noticed, I guess. We're going to do it next, so you can tell the guys tomorrow when you go tonight. So we're kind of left wondering then, I guess, like, you say that the rumors are exaggerated or inflated, maybe. The rumors are still there, though. Like, they're still consistently being said and consistently, some stuff is kind of like Chinese whispers. Like, some stuff is inaccurate, but there's a nugget of truth to it, like that. The Saudi thing has probably, maybe through some of my fault, has probably grown to it's a Saudi Arabian group that are buying it.
I don't know the Saudi group, so
yeah, I think to be honest, I think Malik is a Saudi group. I just got fucked up in communication. Basically, I think that's sort of what happened. But would you be hopeful that if not pre-games, that at some point in this calendar year we could be looking at maybe something happening?
I mean, I think CrossFit are looking to potentially exit the business in the next 6 months. Yeah, but I think it's the good point is, you said that's a good point. We're talking months, not weeks. Like this vicious rumor that came, like deals like this, you sign heads of terms, which in itself takes 4 weeks, and then you do due diligence, which can take 6 months to 9 months to a year. So when rumors come out that say it's been bought, it's like, well, it hasn't, because they must have been talking for the last 9 months, which we all know they haven't. So, but yeah, I could see this. I could see the business being sold. But with regards to the rumors that you're talking about, honestly, they are Chinese whispers. It's they're not right. They're not correct.
Yeah. You were able to rattle off those different stages of negotiation very quickly, though. So I'm feeling like those dominoes have already maybe fallen.
I've been through that before, so I know.
With CrossFit 2 months ago. Okay. Heidi says that she heard a rumor about me and she said that I'm a vampire. No, I'm just Ireland. I'm in Ireland. We don't have any sun. You know, for 12 days, the sun wasn't visible.
Oh my God.
That's like, I don't like, we had daylight, but there was just no sun. So yeah. Take your vitamin D. It's not like, we're not like Iceland, you know, where it's like there's only 10 minutes of sun. The sun was there, it just wasn't visible through the clouds. Okay, when CrossFit sells again, it will lose another 2,500 affiliates, and they will be the best affiliates. I mean, I guess that's the fear as well. Is that like?
Yeah, I get that's a good point, and that's,
you know,
like,
better the devil, you know, almost like that. Oh, come on, like it's just more of the same shit. Like I'm out.
Yeah, I know that's a really valid point. I think, yeah, it's a bit like what you said earlier. It's like, you know, if someone's looking to acquire the business, it's a risk. Like, yeah, you said that yourself. It's a risk. Like, this is not acquiring a business on an upward trajectory. It's a business going through a difficult patch. But I think the people buying it, even if they did due diligence, they'd have to realize that what Savan said might happen. So they would have to be ready and willing for that to happen, and then rebuild from there going forward. And they would have to be not put off by the fact that might happen.
Do you think that a smart potential buyer then, if I was buying CrossFit and my name was Malik, do you think that if I was buying CrossFit, that the sensible thing for me to do would be, before the sale or the purchase becomes public, would be to put out some sort of like, you know, plan, or I don't know what you call it, like a dossier or whatever of, you know, here's what you could expect in the next 2 weeks if this sale goes through or whatever, so to kind of stem some of that disgruntlement?
Yeah, I think anyone who bought the business might do that. Yeah, I think in a situation like this, with so many gyms or affiliates, I imagine someone would do that. Yeah, because Savan's point is probably what any buyer would be worried about. So I think they try and you know hit that head on.
Another smart move will be to have a base, like a building, like an office that people are in together.
Yeah, those were the good old days, weren't they?
Yeah. Okay. Well, Dan, thanks for clearing up some of the rumors, and for you know, engaging, or you know, I don't know, giving into some of my hypotheticals. Okay. Oh, there's the bells telling us to stop. Good luck with Nike or whatever, and Northern Spirit, French Throwdown, Hustle Up, and whatever else.
Fittest
Freakus, and whatever other business opportunities may or may not be on the table. I thought it was funny, where is Barclay's comment, where when I was saying, oh, you seem very familiar with the different stages of negotiation, he says he knows the names of all the stages up as far as where they are with CrossFit, and he doesn't know the names of any of the ones after that. It's like, yeah, I know this. I'm not too familiar with what comes after that one, but I'm really certain that that's the one that we're at now. I mean, the one that's, you know, next. Yeah. All right, thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
Always great to talk to you. Anybody who's watching this, actually, you know, speaking of affiliates and their importance, I put up a video today of 25.1 in CrossFit League Slip, just outside Dublin. A 77-year-old, and I don't actually know the age of the other one. She's in the 60 to 65. But it's really cool video, I think. I don't know, go and watch it.